what to say. I I've seen Derek Jeter play. Most of my family are Yankees fans, so I've grown up watching Derek Jeter, and I can't believe it's over. Jorge Posada retired, and it's like, okay, no big deal. Andy Pettitte was gone. Mariano Rivera was a bigger deal, but now it's Derek Jeter, and you can tell. The Yankees are collapsing. That it's a shame that Derek Jeter won't be able to make it to the playoffs this year. Um, but what does this mean for the Yankees? They not only they're sliding, they don't have. I mean, they have some guys in the farm system, but not too much young talent. But now you lose the face of your franchise. So
they'll have a big hole that they'll never be able to fill up.
Yeah, that's gonna be like when Tom Brady retires. The Patriots, what are they without Tom Brady? So Jimmy Garoppolo, I like him a lot, especially.
Let's not talk.
Okay. You saw where I was going there. So Matt, what does the future hold for the New York Yankees?
I honestly can't tell you. Probably just gonna be a money thing. Just try to get some good free agents. There really aren't that many good free agents this year, but that's the game they're gonna have to start playing. That Cashman's gonna start playing because now the effects of all the signings they made in '09 are gonna hurt them now. Teixeira, they signed in '09 to a huge deal, and he really hasn't done well. CC Sabathia looks terrible. Tanaka is really going to be their best player overall. Cano obviously is gone now. A-Rod, he's coming back, but he's going to be 40 years old. So they really have a lot of old guys. It's just they're in a tough spot. I mean, they'll still be a winning team, but you're just not going to see the Yankees teams that we saw, especially late 90s, early 2000s when they're winning World Series left and right for the last 4 or 6, making the World Series every year. And even in the mid-2000s, 06, 07, when they were always pretty good, 90-plus win team, we're going to start seeing 80 wins, 82, 83, I think. Just teams that barely make it over 500.
I feel like so many teams now, that all of us when we were growing up were like the dominant teams, are now collapsing. The Yankees, the Celtics, the Lakers. It's crazy. But can the Yankees expect to make it to the postseason next year? Will they have a chance?
No.
Absolutely no chance.
No, I don't see it either.
You're gonna bring back a washed up A-Rod who hasn't touched the baseball in a year, and he's gonna have to soak up $30 million of your payroll for the next couple of years. And the Yankees are gonna start to struggle because as more of these teams lock up their young studs early, like Jonathan Singleton of the Astros came up, and as soon as he came up, he got a big multi-year contract. Mike Trout's on a multi-year contract. The Yankees were winning free agency because all these players that they were getting were young, and they were bringing them over when they were still in their prime. And that's why the Yankees' spending sprees were still working. Now, the players you look at that they're getting this past summer, Jacoby Ellsbury, he had a decent year. But, I mean, he didn't really earn the money that he got. Brian McCann had an awful year. He's up in age. Carlos Beltran had a terrible year. He's up there in age. I mean, you're bringing in all these players who are now older when you're getting them, instead of you're getting the younger players at, like, 28 off their first contract, and the teams haven't locked them up. Now as teams are starting to lock up players earlier, it's going to be harder and harder for the Yankees to use a spending strategy. And right now, with their farm system washed up, and not really competing with some of the top-notch farm systems. Like, I believe their number one prospect is ranked 80th or something like that in the top 100 for prospects. That's not going to be able to get them big trade pieces that they need to compete. They were in the market for Samardzija, and they lost out because the A's had a top prospect in Addison Russell. If the Yankees are going to want to make trades, they're going to need to develop a better farm system. That's the only way they're going to be able to continue to compete. Because as more of these young studs continue to pan out, it's the teams that build farm systems that are starting to build teams. I see Sports Illustrated picked the Astros to win the World Series in 2017 or something like that because they have all the prospects and stuff like that. I think it's going to be really tough for the Yankees to continue to compete. And next year's going to be even tougher when you're going to bring back a struggling CC Sabathia, a rotation that, other than Tanaka, is completely questioned. And you're going to bring back A-Rod. You're going to have no shortstop in a thin market for shortstop, especially if Asdrubal Cabrera decides to re-sign with the Nationals, which is probably going to be likely if they make noise in the playoffs, which you can expect from them as well. And then they're going to need help in the outfield, and they don't really have availability in the outfield because they're going to have to play. They're going to have to play Beltran, Ellsbury, and Gardner. And it looked like Ellsbury and Gardner were going to have good years, but they even tailed off. Teixeira's a real struggle at first base. Second base is a big hole for the Yankees. Maybe Martin Prado can fill that, but not to the Yankee level. I think this team might even struggle to get to 500 next year.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Cashman is the polar opposite of Billy Beane. Billy Beane tries to get young guys and lock them up. Brian Cashman signs washed-up superstars to long-term deals. Billy Beane will trade for all-stars to keep them for half a season. Brian Cashman will get some crappy 35-year-old and sign him to a 4-year deal. So, I think if I was the Yankees, I would just blow it up right now. I say you get rid of A-Rod.
But there's no one who's going to want these players, and they're going to have to continue to pay these contracts. And like A-Rod, McCann, Beltran, Sabathia, there's multi years on all these players' contracts, and they're paying all these guys around $20 million.
Exactly.
And
with all these contracts, they screwed themselves over because no one wants these guys.
Exactly, and they get absolutely no contribution from them, or the contributions they're going to get out of them, like 210 hitters and pitchers that are going to pitch to a 4.5 ERA. They have one spot in their rotation filled, but they're already at like close to $230 million as their payroll next year. That's going to be a tough thing for them to fill because Kuroda's probably going to retire. Who knows what Ivan Nova's going to be after coming back from Tommy John. Sabathia is a huge question mark. They like the rookie Shane Green, but maybe 4 or 5 starter, not to be the Yankees' number 2 starter, especially a team that hopes to compete in the playoffs next year. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's gonna take not way more time for the Yankees to be a decent team and actually contend for the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be a winning team, but they're not going to get anywhere near the playoffs. That's the worst spot to be, in the middle of the pack, where you can't really do much, provided prospects are a lot of the time hit or miss. But the Yankees need to focus on getting younger guys, building up the farm system, and rebuild. I'm not sure if Brian Cashman knows what the word rebuild means, but he needs to learn it and try and do it.
And you look at teams that have done that recently, they've all led to success. Like, the Mets are starting to get there. The Pittsburgh Pirates traded everyone for years.
Yeah.
The Houston Astros did that, and they're starting to get close to the playoffs. All these teams are blowing it up, and they're starting to get close to the playoffs or at the point where they can compete. And while the fans have suffered for a few years, I mean, as a Mets fan, it was really tough. But knowing for next year that this team was close to a 500 team this year, without Matt Harvey, and they're going to have some great prospects coming up. I mean, it was tough waiting, but it's good knowing that now they're going to start to compete, and it's going to be for a long time. For the Yankees, if they string a couple players together, maybe they can compete for 1 year, but then all those guys are going to be old because they're signing them off.
It's not even worth it at that point. Snowball, any final thoughts on the Yankees?
No, I think I pretty much said it before. They got all their signings from 2009 are now starting to hurt them, and it's going to hurt them for a while.
Yeah. They screwed themselves over with all those contracts. All right, so we're going to head to commercial real quick. When we come back, we'll be giving you the Garden State Sharks segment, wrap up college football for today, and all our other great segments. So stay with us.
Be sure to tune in to Blake and Noah, LA to Chicago weekly on Sunday nights as we cover the biggest news in sports. Topics range from breaking news, trade rumors, score updates, predictions, and of course, our famous Say What segment of the week. Get on Facebook and like the Blake and Noah, LA to Chicago page. Also, feel free to text or call in each week.
All right, and we are back. Once again, we just want to remind you, the phone number for tonight is 862-400-6461. We're going to recap Garden State Sharks from last week. We had the Cardinals -2.5 at the Giants. Myself and CB picked the Cardinals, and the Cardinals covered and won 25-14. Snowball picked his Giants and came up empty. That was a hard game for you to watch, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you gave up the punt return touchdown. You fumbled the kickoff.
Can we move on?
Are there any Giants games at this point that aren't hard games to watch?
Valid point. And the Giants were at home, so that's typically a problem. We had Texans -3 at the Raiders. CB and Snowball got it right with the Texans. I had faith in Derek Carr and the Raiders. I shouldn't have. Snowball said that they would not score more than 3 points. They did. The Texans won 30-14. I tried to give him a tie on his record, but that didn't go over too well. So he got the win there. Falcons +5.5 at the Bengals. Snowball got it right with the Bengals. Me and CB picked the Falcons. Unfortunately, they lost 24-10. Huh?
You put them 1 week too early.
Yeah, that's true. And then we all saw this coming. Patriots -6.5 at the Vikings. No AP, obviously. So the Patriots won 30-7. We all got that one right. And then Monday night, the Eagles +3 at the Colts. CB and Snowball both picked the Colts. I don't know why. I had the Eagles. The Eagles won 30-27. So now we are still tied up after 2 weeks. We're all 5-3. That might change this week though, because this week, first off, we have the Texans at the Giants. It's an even line, so we're just picking them. Snowball, you're the one who picked your Giants again. Why do you have so much faith in them this week?
I'm just going to keep on picking them until I win. Basically it.
You might have a tough time this year, but you'll probably get one right.
So he's already got 16 losses for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, let's move on.
All right, myself and CB both picked the Texans. Pretty self-explanatory. They're playing the Giants at MetLife. The Giants are terrible at home. And the Texans destroyed the Raiders last week, so I would expect nothing less from
I
them.
picked the Texans this week. I
Huh?
thought about them. I said the Texans are a pretty good suicide pool pick this week.
Yeah, I have them. We'll get to that later on, though. Cowboys -1.5 at the Rams. We all have the Cowboys. Looks like Austin Davis will be getting the nod for the Rams again. The Cowboys, they have a spotty defense, but they'll be able to overcome the Rams, no problem. I don't think this is a good line at all. -1.5.
The Rams did beat the Bucks, but we all saw on Thursday how great the Bucks are.
Yeah,
The Cowboys having a problem here, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that later. The Bucks were actually my dark horse pick for this year, and I'm regretting that 1,000% already.
You picked in the division.
I'm not sure if I actually picked them to win the division, but I thought they would have a chance at making the playoffs.
I think in the division.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, I whiffed big time on that.
And you were making fun of me for picking the Redskins as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that turns out.
Kirk Cousins all the way.
I love Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, so he can run into a 9-7 season, I'm telling
I'm
you.
hoping the Steelers trade for Kirk Cousins. Because once Ben retires, that would be great. Moving on. I don't know why this line is the way it is, but Packers are getting 2 points at the Lions. Myself and CB are the reasonable ones here. We're picking the Packers. Snowball, why are you picking the Lions here? Is it because they destroyed your Giants?
If the Lions were home,
Lions are home.
Packers were home, I would pick Packers, but we saw last week that Aaron Rodgers and that line is having trouble with good defensive line teams, and the Lions have a very good D-line. So I feel confident in them, and I think the offense will do well against that defense, because that defense hasn't impressed me either. So I really don't see the Lions having a problem. handling the Packers. They'll definitely put up a good fight. It's gonna be close, but I just have faith in the Lions. Also, I have Stafford.